Good evening and welcome once again to this episode of It's My Turn Now. Once again, where everyone gets an opportunity to just share your thoughts, share your feelings, share what what's on your mind. So I want to encourage you right now to invite your friends, invite your family, tell them to come on and join us on this episode of It's My Turn Now. I have a very interesting subject that I want to talk about tonight. I think it's something that's very important, something that we should deal with. We don't hear it often, but it needs to be dealt with. And that's the topic of suicide. So I want to just give you a few minutes. Please share this with your friends, share it with your families. There's a link that you can click on here and you can come on live. This is your chance to come on live and express yourself because after all, it is your turn now. So it's my turn now, which means it's your turn now. The only thing that you have to do before you come on is we ask that if you give type of message for the very first time you type "It's my turn now" and then your question or your comment, or if you choose to come on live, then I want you to just come on. When you come on live, the first thing you say, "It's my turn now." So again, want to encourage you, just share this with someone, share it with them, let them know that we're on the air, uh, and this episode of It's My Turn Now. So we're thankful for those who, support us each week. And I hear a lot of positive feedback each week regarding those who listen to the program. So subject of suicide is a very sensitive subject. It's a sensitive subject to a whole lot of people and something that people really don't like to discuss, but nevertheless, it's one of those things that really needs to be talked about. Suicide is one of those things that um, you don't know, you really don't know who's being affected by suicide. And so that's why I call it the quiet conversation. The quiet conversation because there's something that's just hard to talk about. There's some things that's just very difficult for us to talk about. And God bless you, Pastor Graves. Glad to have you on. It's my turn now. Uh, so it's good evening. Suicide is one of those things that is very difficult to discuss. And you don't know who's dealing with suicide. It's something that you can't look at a person's face. You can't look at their expression. You can't always tell when someone is contemplating suicide. It's a very sensitive subject. God bless you, Sister Renita. Says hello, Bishop Walton. Thank you. Um, it's you just don't know. You just don't know. And so, you know, invite your friends, share this post with someone because you don't know who is doing or contemplating suicide. Someone that may be close to you may be considering suicide. And so we want to talk about some of the signs of suicide, some of the things to expect, because many times I've seen people commit suicide and someone said, well, I had no idea. I had no idea that they were thinking about committing suicide. And that may be true. You may not have had, there may not be a sign. You may not have even seen the signs that they were thinking about committing suicide, but yet they were contemplating suicide. So it's important that we have this conversation. Just a few, but last month or so, the dancer Twitch allegedly, that's my opinion, allegedly committed suicide. I don't consider myself to be a conspiracy theorist, but sometimes you know I wonder under strange circumstances, you know, or is there something behind that when they say someone commits suicide? It's always that they commit suicide. Okay, Bishop Rollo's watching. Praise the Lord, everyone. God bless you, my friend. So glad to have you on here. Missed you, been a while, but I know you got a lot going on. But and at the time, during the time when he committed suicide, I had taken a 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks break from the program. I almost started to come back on just to discuss it, but I didn't. But I think sometimes we talk about this subject during Suicide Prevention Week, Suicide Prevention Month. But I think it's something that we have to keep in the forefront because we live in some terrible times and people are dealing with stress, anxiety, depression. I had called me today. They wanted to know if I was taking clients because they were in a crisis. People are dealing with a lot of issues and they need someone to help them process. So one of the things I've done this year with all my clients, one of the first questions I asked them, I mean, some of the clients I've had for years, but I asked them one of the first things going to the new year, I said, have you had what we call suicide ideations? That means, have you had thoughts of suicide? Because many times the thoughts lead to actions. And so there's a lot of people who think about suicide. I'm sure there may be someone watching the program now have at some point in your life that you thought, man, I'm just tired of life and I don't know what to do. I'll just take my life. But I think what's important is that, you have resources, that you have people that you can talk to, people that, when you're stressed out. See, some people don't have anybody to talk to. And sometimes the enemy makes you feel that nobody cares about you. So I think it's important. I want anybody in my network to know that I'm concerned about them. So if anybody on here in my network, if you're going through something, please call me. Don't commit suicide. Don't give, don't just take your life. There's a better day tomorrow or the day after. There's a lot of times we're going through situations and we don't really, we don't know what to do. And there's times when we feel bad. We all go through difficult times because sometimes when you're going through a rough patch in your life, the first thing you think, man, I got terrible. Nobody has it like me. I'm not going to minimize any pain that you have, but I'm going to say there are those that are dealing with issues that are similar to yours, and they've been able to make it through. And so I want you to know that you can make it through whatever you're dealing with. And there's someone there to talk to. I used to tell people the difference between someone, when I work directly with the suicide hotline, crisis line, the difference between a person committing suicide and a person working their way through it is their resources. There's some people don't have anybody to talk to, or they feel that they don't have anybody to talk to. And that's just as bad. So I think we need to be less judgmental. Let those in your life know that you care about them. Let them know that you're empathetic to them, sympathetic of maybe what they're going through. Let them know I'm here for you, because sometimes people feel like I would talk to somebody, but I'm embarrassed. Let's be less judgmental, less critical, and allow people into your life, into your circle, to be themselves. Too many times we judge people. I may not agree with everybody and everything, but I'm learning. I'm going to say it now. I am learning to be less judgmental. I'm learning to be less critical. Life is too short. And really, to tell you the truth, if you want to be biblical about it, the Bible said, who is he that judges another man's servant? We're so busy judging each other instead of trying to lift each other up. So we need to lift each other up, that if somebody's going through something, they feel like, I've got somebody. All right, God bless you, Sister Walton. Say praise the Lord, everyone. I've got somebody who I can come to. Okay. Sister Walton says she shared. Thank you for sharing. Please, I want to encourage you, share this. Share this with someone. This is very important, because you don't know who. I asked my clients at the beginning of the year, last week, this week, have you considered suicide? Have you thought about suicide? Not that I sense it, not because some of their situation was so bad that I feel like, oh, wow, they're going to commit suicide. I asked them because I just feel like they needed to know that I was concerned. And I was surprised that some said, you know what? I have thought about that. I'm okay now, but I have thought about that. I thank God for the transparency. We need to be able to be transparent with each other, especially in the church. The church, I don't know where we got to the point that we can't be transparent. And when I say transparent, I'm saying if there's I think the problem is too often in church, we have to be perfect. And everybody says, you got to be perfect. Perfect, I think we have to be careful how we use that word, saying that we have to be perfect, because we say that we have to be perfect, but the problem is that, how are we really defining perfect? If I was to tell a child to write a straight line, that wasn't complete 100 straight line. absolute perfect job. So we have to understand how we perfect. I think perfect is walking in truth and striving to be the best version of me that I can be. That's my perfection. When I'm striving to be the best me that I can be, then that's my level of perfection. When I'm walking according to the word, operating in the word, and doing all I know to do. Okay, so when we deal with the subject of suicide, uh, it says $12.2 million seriously thought about committing suicide. Can you think? Can you imagine that? Not 1,200, not 12,000. 12.2 million adults seriously thought about suicide. Again, like I said, there may be someone here that has thought about it. Hey, I want to reach out to you. Call me, inbox me, because I'm concerned about. Sometimes people find themselves in situations and because they're pride, because embarrassment, I don't want people to find this out. Well, don't worry about that. There's hope, there's forgiveness. You make a mistake. Those that care about you are concerned about it. Those that don't care about it, they don't care anyway. They don't care what happens to you, but don't focus on those people that don't care about you. Focus on those people that are concerned about you. 8 emergency department visits related to suicide. This in the year 2020, 2021, 2020, it says 45,979 people died by suicide in the United States. I'm going to say it again, 45,979 people died by suicide. And if you don't think that's a problem, you need to check those numbers out again. When you're saying that 45,979 people died by suicide, I'm going to say this right here. I think that not only are there individuals that are committing suicide, I think there are people that have what I call a death wish. Those are people who live on the edge. They live dangerous. Whatever's crazy to do, they'll do it because they really don't value their life. I think many of them feel like, I really don't care if I live or die. So they just have what's considered just a dangerous lifestyle, just reckless, just do anything, and speeding, and some people who are non-Christians get drunk and drive and do crazy things because they have a death wish. They may not be actually trying to commit suicide, but they have a death wish. 275 people who are seriously considered suicide. Now, the thing about it is that in many cases, I've talked to individuals insurance, in many cases, it depends on circumstance because some people, they weren't sure if they tried to commit suicide, if the death was through suicide, through accidents. So because insurance policies, or maybe they know someone, they will rule the suicide an accident, because it's totally different where you rule an accident or suicide when it comes to insurance purposes. Suicide deaths, and there's a number of deaths per year due to suicide. Now, if you're on here, I want you to give me your comments. What you thought? Have you experienced it? I've talked to some individuals who share with me that the subject of suicide is so traumatic to them that they can't even talk about it. And I understand that, because there are some things. If you lose a loved one by through suicide, that can be overwhelming. It certainly can be overwhelming, and there's a certain amount of guilt associated with that. Why didn't they feel comfortable? Why didn't they come to me? And I think it's important to let everyone in your circle feel that they're free to come to you to talk. I have friends that I feel, and you can let me know if you don't feel that way, but I feel that any of my friends feel like they come talk to me about anything, and I'm not going to criticize them. Initially, I will try to correct them or encourage them, but I'm not going to criticize them just for the sake of criticizing them. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you know someone that committed suicide? What are your thoughts about that? Is that something that we should talk about? Pastor Graves, has statistics increased since the pandemic? That's a very good question. I really, be honest with you, I don't have the statistics on that, but I can look that up, and I'll try maybe the next time we have this. But that's a very good question. Next time we have the subject, but I would think anytime there's a crisis, from my experience, the suicide rate goes up. I remember A lot of people watching here probably weren't born, but when the spaceship Challenger exploded, the suicide hotline, I was working suicide hotline that day, and the lines were totally lit up. People saying, I want to commit suicide because of the Challenger. It's so sad that those people die. And sometimes people can't handle death. And sometimes people can't handle grief. And when they can't handle death, when they can't handle grief, if they don't have God in their life, they really don't know how to deal with it. And so all they think about, I want to escape. Sister Robin, greetings and praise the Lord. God bless you, Sister Robin. Thanks again for joining. It's my turn now. So I do feel, Pastor Graves, that whenever there's a crisis and situation like that, I do feel that there are people that empathize with their hurt, but they don't know how to deal with it. And so I remember people on when I was online tonight, people called me, I want to commit suicide. I said, why? Did you hear what happened with the Challenger? I asked them, how is that going to help you taking your life? So a lot of people are dealing with stress, trauma, and anxiety due to COVID. A lot of people have lost loved ones due to COVID. And whenever you lose a loved one, sometimes I was on a program on Thursday, and we began to talk about the grief, the stages of grief. And sometimes people get angry, and sometimes people don't understand. They don't know what to do, and so it gets to them, and they don't know how to respond. God bless this answer. A young lady from a former church committed suicide a week ago. Wow, that's just a week ago. Boy, that's unbelievable. And that's another question. What do you think that can a Christian make it to heaven if they commit suicide? What are your thoughts on that? Can a Christian make it to heaven committing suicide? Okay, Mr. Davenport, my good friend, said it is interesting that in probably the richest nation in the history of the world, we experience high rates of suicide. We USA are missing something. The culture needs to be examined. You bring up a very good comment, Brother Kevin. I think our capitalistic society is good in some ways, but we have a dog eat dog mentality because we are one of the richest countries in the world. We don't have empathy, or those in power, enough people don't have empathy to be concerned about the poor, because we really don't have homelessness in this country, but there are a few in the richest societies, those who really are concerned about themselves. So that's why the church has to pick up the mantle and reach out to people. That's a very good comment, Brother Kevin. But Sister Anderson, back to you. I want to know again, sister committed suicide. Uh, and if you knew her, were there any signs? Did you see anything? And what was her attitude like? Because sometimes we expect people to be down, but people are not always down who are showed to us. It's a lot of entertainers who spend a lifetime entertaining people, then they themselves are struggling with suicide. And not to mention pastors who deal with stress and depression. So that's a whole lot of different directions in there. Brother Keith, God bless you. Now, what do you consider suicide on drugs by accident? That's something I thought about too, Brother Keith. Uh, if a person takes drugs, then there's some issues why they're taking drugs. We take drugs to medicate. We take drugs because a lot of times people are going through depression, they're stressed out, and they want to escape, but they can get caught up in it. I mean, drugs are very addictive, and people want to be numb to the pain of society, to the stress that they're dealing with, and that's why a lot of times people take drugs. They start off as recreation. They start off, it makes them feel good, but then they need it to stay good, because once they stop taking it, then they're faced with reality and they come out the high. And many times it's just the reverse effect. As high as they were, then that's that low, and now they're depressed, and now they need more drugs. So some of them take more drugs and they accidentally overdose, where some say, I don't care, I'm going to take it, and they feel like they have no options. Sister Anderson, I knew she had issues, but I did not know how deep her issues were. She would inbox me for money, and I would cash app her, not knowing she had gotten on drugs. That's so sad. That's so sad. Sometimes we need to ask people, what's going on in your life? Sometimes people have the idea that you don't mention suicide, don't ask people, are you contemplating suicide, because that's going to make them, you know, it's better to ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them, because sometimes they need somebody to talk to. Sometimes they're masking how they're feeling, and they're waiting for somebody to talk to them so they can open up and tell them, hey, what's going on? I've had clients that I've had who were suicidal, and as we go through therapy and counseling, they're able to deal with the trauma. They're able to deal with the stress. They're able to deal with those issues that made them want to commit suicide. But it's only through communicating and talking. It's when you close up and when you shut up and when you don't say anything to anybody. Uh, that's when it magnifies the hurt and the pains you're going through. I'm kind of passionate about this because I don't think no one has to commit suicide. You don't have to commit suicide. There are choices. And I know things can be pretty rough in a person's life, but there's choices. But what happens when you feel like there's no tomorrow and think this thing will never get better, then that's when you want to commit suicide. So you need to know the thing. Yes, you can be going through the worst situation in your life, but doesn't mean that's the end. Things can get better. So, as some people say, only way you can go up after so long, only way you can go up, go up after you've been down so long. Sister Renee, God bless it. Better to ask. The mind plays tricks as you learn the word. You can communicate effectively. It's so true. That's so true. And thank you for sharing that with us, Sister Renee. Bishop Varela, I know someone in the church who messed up their life, falling in sin, lost their marriage, finances, etc., wanted to end it. But I got to him and told him Jesus still loved him and can rebuild through repentance. This is always hope with Jesus. Only by the grace of God we can think. And thank you for sharing that with us, Bishop. Some people have no hope, and they feel like that's the only option is to commit suicide. Now we don't want to discount people who suffer chronic depression. There's some people that depression becomes so heavy, it's so heavy in their life. I don't know if you ever seen someone who really are deal with super depression, and we need to be aware. Listen to what people say. Like Bishop said, listen to somebody when somebody says, don't be afraid to ask questions. What's going on? I hear you sound, or someone looks down. Don't be afraid to say what's going on. Sometimes we make light of what's wrong with you, man. That they may be giving you a call to help, saying, I need help. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm afraid if I ask them questions, then they're gonna commit suicide. No, you ask them questions, it will very well help them. The spirit doesn't see beyond today. So true, Pastor Grave. The spirit locks you right in where you're at. And so, and the thing about it is, everybody can find themselves in despair. Someone say, I've never been in despair. I've never just been stressed out, didn't know what I'm gonna do. They most likely not telling the truth, because all of us at some point in life, when we lose a loved one, sometimes we get hurt and we get down, we go through depression. But can you imagine whatever depressed state that you've been in? Can you imagine whatever state that you've been where you were down? And a lot of us have been down, but we're able, by the grace of God, to bounce back up. But let's think of whatever state that you were in, magnify that 3, 4, 5, 10 times. And it actually paralyzes the person to a point that they can't see, they can't move, they just don't want, some people who are dealing with depression, they only want to get out of bed. It's like a heaviness on them. And so we need to be mindful of that. So we teach love. Love in the long war, Christ can heal through our mouths. That's so true. Our words are powerful. And me and my clients, I give them Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever the honest, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is just. Being virtue, being praised, thing. Because it's your mindset, the way you thought, change your thought pattern, reframe your thoughts, and speak positive words of affirmation. Bishop says the reason they will not talk is because people run their mouths, and that pushes them to the limit. So true. We can hurt. We've heard a lot of people run our mouths, running people down instead of praying for them. We want to run people down, um, that you know that we don't care for. But when it comes to your family, you ain't thinking about running nobody down. Pray for my family. Pray for my loved one. Pray for the other person, just like you want someone to pray for your loved one. We got to reach out to one another. But back to this Twitch. This gentleman appeared to be successful, had plenty of money, had a family, had a child. And like I said, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but things like that are things that make me go, I wonder, could foul play have been? I don't think that every suicide is actually a suicide. Sometimes there can be some foul play involved. So I don't know if anybody, maybe I'm the only one to think about that. Wonder is there some foul play involved in that. While we think about that, we got Cells Casanova. Chronic pain like depression is also tough to deal with too. It's true. It's that when you get tired and sick and tired going through things, one of the highest rate of suicide is 85 and older. You wouldn't think about that, but senior citizens who are at the end stages of their life and feel like sometimes they don't have anybody coming around, the grandkids maybe have grandkids, maybe don't have grandkids, they get lonely, and they're ready to go. So sometimes there's behaviors that they do. They may not want to commit suicide, but then their behavior is they stop eating sometimes. What is that? That's a slow death for sure. That's suicide. We may not want to call it. I'm just not gonna eat. I'm tired. I don't care anymore. So these things that we have to talk about. We need to talk about some of these things in the church. There are a lot of subjects that we need to deal with in the church. I know on Sundays we come to be uplifted, we come to be inspired by the word. But I think, now the church, the opening, we need to deal with a whole lot of situations in the church. There's so many things that we need to deal with. I'm noticing more kids, teenagers, are dealing with stress, anxiety, and anger, and there's a lot of suicide rate among young kids too. There are a lot of young kids that commit suicide, and a lot of young kids are very violent. And so when people deal with violence and deal with anger, a lot of this right here can facilitate suicide. About that young boy that was 6 years old, shot that school teacher. Now, I never thought about shooting a school teacher. I had some school teachers that I might want to throw a rock at, but I certainly didn't want to shoot them. Okay, Sister Anderson said, people inbox me after ask for money because I will help them and not hurt them. I have helped many souls to make it through another day by the word of God down through the years. I try to give them hope in their hopeless situation. So I would encourage you, keep on doing it, because people need that. They need that so much. Brother Emerson Allison, God bless you. Welcome to It's My Turn Now. Says, good message, Doc. Thank you. I hope that by saying this, that we can become more aware of those around us. So I'm actually going two different things because I'm talking about Twitch. He may commit suicide and may not have, but there are those that are committing suicide. That I went to a funeral of a young lady whose boyfriend broke up with her, and she killed herself, shot herself in the head over a breakup. Now, I want to tell any of y'all out here, no man and no woman is worth you shooting yourself over. Because here's the thing about it. What's it going to do? Because once you dead and gone, guess what? You're not going to help them. you're not gonna help them. Somebody else gonna help them. So what good? What good is it gonna do you? Think about it. Take a deep breath. Reach out to someone. Get a therapist. Get a counselor, and keep on. Keep on. If you're depressed and it doesn't seem like it's getting better, keep on seeking help. And you may have to get some medication because nobody wants to be depressed. Whatever it takes to turn things around, you deserve it to yourself to invest in yourself. Be the best version of you that you can be. Turn that thing around. Don't give the enemy the joy and the pleasure of seeing you self-destruct. I told someone, listen, I am not going to beat myself up because you know what? If I want to get a beat down, there's too many people willing to stand in line to give me a beat down. I'm certainly not going to beat myself down. Don't take your life. There are people in the hospitals that are fighting to live. And you're sometimes we're considering getting for life. So Jamie, welcome. It's my turn now. Why we as individuals are on here together, we should consider what other people are going through. If you are the culprit that have put unnecessary stress and trauma, even and continue to poking at someone to make yourself feel powerful, we all need to look in the mirror on how we treat each other. And Bishop, especially in the church where people come for help and grief. So true, Sister Jamie. You know, a lot of times people can be the offender. We need to examine ourselves. We need to be careful how we talk to people. And I'm learning that there's some people you have to negative self-talk, negative play, criticize people, downing people. You know, have a balance. I mean, some of my friends we kid around. I may joke around with some of my bishop friends, pastor friends, but at the end they know that we're good friends. We go out, we talk, we have a good time. But everybody can't take that. Be careful how you talk to people, and don't criticize somebody that you're not willing to encourage them. So I say for every one word negativism, every one negative word, you should be able to say 5 or 10 words. That's even in your relationship. If you can criticize somebody and judge somebody, are you able to encourage them? Are you able to support them? Are you able to lift them up? Let's get back to pastors. I just read an article yesterday about pastors and the stress and that they go through. And so many people, they expect a lot from the pastor, they expect a lot from leaders. But what are you willing to contribute? Are you praying for your pastor? Are you encouraging your pastor? Are you supporting your pastor? Are you supporting your leaders? Be a supporter. See, sometimes people can be the cause of someone's anxiety and depression by your negative criticizing, always judging, always putting down someone. Are you that type of person? Are you putting people down? Are you trying to find fault in other people? These are things that contribute to suicide. I heard the old saying, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. Someone can be going through something and you can say one thing and they just snap. You said, wow, I only said one small thing. No, you don't know what all that person's background. You don't know what all the person going through. You don't know what all that person dealing with. So you have to be very careful what you're saying. I hate to say this, and some people don't believe it, but some people are fragile. Just plain and simple. Some people are just fragile. They can't handle a whole lot. They can't deal with a whole lot. The emotions is something all over the place. Okay, Sister Walton, God bless. It's my turn now. Amen. On one of jobs in Evansville, one of my coworkers' young son committed suicide. I think the charity was because of finances. We should ask our youth spouses, how are your finances, and give some good advice. I wish they would have make this a regular class in all our schools. It would not be a bad idea for our churches either. So with the homeschool and churches, we should get it. That's so true, Sister Walton. Thank you. Finances, it can be very overwhelming. I've been there where my finances was so stressed out, I couldn't see my bills. I was in so much debt that I couldn't, keep my head above water. I was going down and drowning. But I thank God I prayed, and the praying, asking God, and trusting God. But see, when you don't have God and you don't have faith in God, I mean, you can understand why people who because when you have God, it becomes stressful. But when you don't have God in your life, and so we need to, those are things that Sister Walton said, finances, because stress in marriage, I've seen couples uh, stressed out because of marriage, and one person can't handle it. But we need to be a support system. But when we talk about Twitch, he seemed to have it all. So we have to look at the flip side, that there's some people that have it all. Is not about finances. It's not. Sometimes people are stressed because they're trying to get to the top. They're stressed like especially in the work the political world, not political world, but entertainment field. They're trying to make it. There's a lot of pressure on them to make it. To comedians, like I said, a lot of comedians die because they try and make people happy, and they feel like, and that's their life. They have to make people happy. They have to be up. Um, you know, that's a song that used to be. Smokey Robinson said, "Don't y'all cut me off, because y'all may want to cut me off." Smokey Robinson had a song one time, "Tears of a Clown When There's No One Around." And so sometimes people are up and they want you to see them. They don't want you to know that they're down. So they put on a smiling face. They smile, they're friendly, but you don't know what's behind that face. So let's be transparent. Let's be honest. Let's ask someone, if you suspect that someone's thinking of committing suicide. Committing suicide. Do not be afraid to ask them, honey. You know what? I know I don't want to offend you, but I just want to ask you: have you thought about committing suicide? Because I rather you go ahead and ask them and possibly have a possibility of offending them than you not asking them and they commit suicide. Because if they are, many times they'll just be honest with you. They may put the head down and they'll tell you, you know what? I'm glad you asked that. Evangelist Rum, God bless you. It's my turn now. Do you think he was under a doctor's care? My thought, he was probably taking new meds that caused him to commit suicide. That's a good possibility. I mean, sometimes we don't really know what's going on in a person's life. Michael Jackson, the medication, too much medication. Accidental death. Uh, Prince taking too much medication. Sometimes, and it's all how the doctors want to rule. They can rule accidental death, and they can rule suicide. I think I remember somewhere reading where there was a note that was left with Twitch. Is the reason why they assumed there was suicide. But again, here me being skeptical. Anybody can write a note. I don't know if it was his own handwriting. I don't know if it was typed up or what. But what we know is that he's going, and he had a lot, what appeared to be a lot to live for. Am I the one thinking about that? Anybody else besides myself question Twitch, his death? Anybody question that? See, sometimes and then there are individuals that have been committed suicide that have been killed, and set up to make it look like it was suicide. There's a lot of crazy things out there. Okay, so Pastor Graves, yes, ma'am. I don't know. Are you saying that you question that as well? Because sometimes we just have to have those deep. That's reason why I like this show, because it gives you a chance. It's your turn now. It gives you a chance to express yourself. You're not be criticized, but you can talk about those things to make you these are things that I just wonder. Sometimes when you're by yourself, you're thinking about different things, and I think we need to have the ability to think outside the box. We need to have the ability to think beyond what we see, because when we just focus on what we see, we can miss the big picture. And so that means we have to ask questions. Be willing to ask questions. Sometimes effective listening means you asking the right question. All right, I got one. Yes, I question Twitch death. Okay, I'm not by myself. Anybody else out there? And what are your thoughts? Tell me what your thoughts are. I'm glad to hear somebody. I thought maybe it was just me. It's just a whole lot of things that I heard surrounding his death that didn't seem to add up. It didn't seem to add up. So I know really actually I'm talking two different subjects. I'm talking about suicide on one hand, but then I'm talking about what's being considered suicide, because we know throughout history people have been killed and made their death to look like suicide. So things like that do happen. But I wonder if there's anyone here who has lost a loved one, lost a friend due to suicide, and what your thoughts are on that. And I think that one of the things that, again, there's a certain amount of guilt when you have a loved one or a friend that commits suicide. And I wonder, what's it like to have someone say, you know what, uh, you know, wonder why they didn't come to me. And sometimes it's not your fault. I'm gonna say this right now. And that may not be. Sometimes you can reach out to people and they just don't respond. So you can't blame yourself when you reach out to a person that don't respond. The only way you're not responsible for someone committing suicide, but by the same token, if you see someone going through something and you neglect to do anything, then I think I would feel bad. You know, because you see someone going through something, you say, "Well, I thought there was something wrong with her." Well, if you think something wrong with that person, go up to that person, tell them, talk to them, what's going on with you. So, Vance Rum, I don't think it's foul play. I think he took medication. Okay, all right. I will receive that. See, again, maybe I'm, I watch a TV show called Snap and Fatal Attraction. Maybe that's not good for me, because those are true stories of people who, uh, they have killed a friend or a loved one. It happens all the time. I'm amazed at how many people are doing it, and they try to make it like a suicide, make it like an accident. And so I guess maybe I'm watching too much of that Fatal Attraction for my man. Those shows like that where they killing the spouse. Pray for me. But I'm watching, and these are true stories. So I'm watching this, and so now it has me looking at people. I don't just take things, because you look at people and you say, "Oh wow, he didn't look like that. She didn't look like that type." But you just never know. You just never know. You never know what's in the mind of another person. You never know how much evil is in a person's heart. You can't just look at a person, and you don't know how the devil's dealing with people. These people, listen, people deal with a lot of issues. Pastor Grace, I used to believe that people who commit suicide went straight to hell. I don't believe that anymore. Okay, Sister Pastor Graves, now, hey, explain to me, because you know I'm just asking. I was always told that if you commit suicide, you're going to hell. You can't, you're also not kill, especially yourself. So I've heard a lot of different stories. So explain to me. Someone else is on here. Do you think that you can go to heaven committing suicide? It's your turn now. Go ahead. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I do have a live link on here. If you want to click on the link, it's right before the broadcast. You want to click on the link and come on here live, and you want to see us, hear and see you, feel free to click the link. So, but I want to know, do you think, now everybody here, I know everyone here has opinion. I don't know if you feel like, well, I'm gonna keep my opinion to myself, but what are your thoughts? Are you comfortable with saying, well, I think I think, or if I make it easy for you, my church says, that way you won't say me, but my church or my pastor, because we accuse pastors so much. You say, well, my pastor said, if you commit suicide, you're going to hell. So you just tell me what your thoughts are. That's something else that really, I don't think that's something that's discussed. But there are people who are dealing with things. There's people who are dealing with things, and we're not addressing. So again, every week when I'm on the program, there's always somebody who wants to text me. Sometimes people want to text me. The reason why I leave my phone on is that some people, instead of coming on here, they'll text me a question or text me a response. So, Pastor Rowe, this is from Bishop. God said all souls belong to him. You don't have the right to destroy all souls. Also, a dead man can't repent. All right, I hear that. Anybody agree with that or disagree with it? Because the one thing about it's my turn now, you have a right to agree or disagree. We're not going to be mad at you. We're not going to ball you out because at the end of it, end of the day, hey, hopefully, you can hear someone else's opinion and maybe, someone may influence your thought pattern by response. So you may be able to help someone by giving you a comment. There have been times that I've come on this program that people have shared things with me, and I said, maybe I can look at this from a different viewpoint. So sometimes, let's open up suggestion. Do you feel? Because the thing about it, at the end of the day, God knows who's going to hell and who's heaven, who's going to hell. I was listening to some preacher the other day. He said, I had one foot in hell and one foot in heaven. I guess they were saying before, I guess before they got saved or someone. I started saying, honey, I was quiet, but I started saying, you got one foot in hell, brother. You ain't got no other. You ain't no one foot in heaven and one foot in hell. Either you all the way in heaven, or you if you got one foot in hell, you might as well drag the other foot drag it along with you. That's where you're going to. And so, but you have a right to your own opinion. So James, I have an aunt, of one of my grandchildren that took her life, and she had a baby less than 1 year old. Postpartum is real, but I don't know what was affecting her that deep. I think that if you commit suicide, you are bound for hell. But I also know God is sovereign. Think of that. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. A lot of women have thought about committing suicide because due to postpartum depression. I've had clients that it lingers on. I mean, what I may do an episode on childbirth because women go through so much during childbirth, and I think someone said they die 1,000 deaths or something like that. I know of young ladies who never were diabetics, developed diabetes as they were delivering a child, and still are diabetic. Now they're on insulin. Things have to happen. So sometimes when you go through postpartum depression, there are things that can lead and that can seriously affect the person's mental state. There are so many things that can affect your mental state. But then again, when you see someone postpartum, and two, I never knew what postpartum depression was until after I had my first child. Now, I don't know if my wife went through postpartum depression, but I know there were things that were overwhelming. You're excited about this child coming, and people go, they're excited, but there's a lot of responsibilities. I was able to take off from work, I think, for 6 months. I took off from work 6 months, 6 weeks. I don't know. I forget. It's been so long now, but I know I took off from work a significant amount of time, and I was the one that would get up at nighttime to give my wife a break. I was the one to give up at nighttime to take care of her baby, because I've seen women that postpartum depression is a beast, and so they need all support and moral, mental, emotional support they can get, and it may need medication. So, I guess what I'm trying to encourage you is to just not be dismissive when you see somebody seem like they're going down. Church, let's not be dismissive. Sometimes people are acting out. It's a cry for help too. Sometimes people tell you, boy, I just wish I wasn't here. What would happen if I wasn't here? What would you do if I'm not here? What would happen? There are cries. They're crying out for help. Know the signs when people are talking about suicide. Don't think that they're playing. Don't make mistakes. Some people say, well, I've heard people say that someone told me they committed suicide, and I guess they call themselves practicing practicing psychology without a license. Go ahead and kill yourself if that's what you want to do. I've had people say, well, I told them that and then they didn't do anything. Well, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. That is very unwise. It makes no sense. And they may not commit suicide at that time. And then there's some people commit suicide. The devil tell them that, all right, they don't think I'm going to kill myself. So I'm going to show them I'm really serious. But you don't know how fragile their mind is and how the devil's talking. So I'm going to tell you, if you listen right here, don't ever tell anybody, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. So I remember, this is kind of humorous, but I used to be a telephone operator with AT&T, and I had I was in my 20s. I was young. I was in my 20s, maybe early 30s, and someone called on the payphone. They said, "Operator, I'm Greg to commit suicide. I don't know what to do." And I said, "No, don't do that." I said, "Just hang on in there." And they started laughing. They said, "That is not the thing that you want to tell a person who's committed suicide. Hang on in there." So we actually got a good laugh out of that. But just be aware when people are going through things. Just be aware of what you say and how you say things to them. And the worst thing a person can do when they're going down or when they make a mistake is to be criticized. Sometimes we be so critical of people. If a person makes a mistake, your friends make a mistake, be forgiving, be caring. We all make mistakes. Don't hold stuff in. Let it go. In 2023, let's be more careful how we treat each other, more understanding. Let's go our way to be nice. I had the pleasure of last week. I have my sixth grade teacher. I was writing a book, and I had a book. Took the book to the well, it was at the editor, and I was calling to check on the status of it. And my sixth grade teacher happened to be in the in the office at the time, and she heard my name, and she said, "I think I had a student named Anthony Walton." So she asked me. She said, "Was such your teacher?" I said, "Yes, she was. Her name was Laura Vance." I said, "Yes, she was." And so we talked. I talked back and forth, left, and I said, "Well, I haven't heard from her. This is about a year, about 50 some years ago. I hadn't heard from her." So about 3 or 4 months later, I was talking to her again, and she happened to be in the office again. So we're talking. I said, "Tell you what, give her my number. I want to take her out." So I had the pleasure after 51 years to take my sixth grade school teacher out. I think it would be nice if we could reach back in our past and show some kindness. And so one of my goals in 2023 is just reach out to people. Reach out to people. Show some love and show support because you don't know who's going to do something. I encourage you, if you got an old school teacher, one of my favorite school teachers, I wish she was alive, Grace Goodman at school 87. One of my favorite teachers. But if older you get, you know, those teachers, you find you have less and less, especially grade school. I'm not even sure if any of my high school teachers are still alive, but certainly I don't know of any other grade school teacher that's still alive. But reach out to somebody, reach out to a friend, reach out to them. It's time to mend bridges. 2023. Let's be bigger. Let's be intentional. Let's be caring. Let's be compassionate. Let's be supportive. Call people up, pray for people. One of the things I do is when I have my early prayer, while I'm prayer, after I'm praying, I pray for individuals. Sometimes I'll send them a text saying, "I'm praying for you." Let people know, because one of the things that people who I've talked to that were considering committing suicide, they said, "Nobody cares for me. Nobody cares if I live or die." So just calling someone up, just reaching out to someone, let them know that you care. I wonder what would happen if there's someone that you felt that didn't like you, if you told them, "You know what, I appreciate you." Because sometimes people don't like you because they think, you don't like them. And so the devil has some thinking that. So I wonder what would happen if you were to reach out to someone and show them support. Now I'm surprised only two people mentioned about that suicide. I guess some of you decide I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself. You don't have to be afraid to do. Hey, your thoughts are your thoughts. I'm learning as I get older. Maybe it's an older thing, but I don't have any problem expressing my thoughts. It is what it is. And if you like it, amen. If you don't like it, pray for me. But I try to do the right thing, try to say the right thing, and I'm not. Most people know I'm not the one that's gonna hold my tongue. And my friends listen, they probably saying amen, but no, I'm not gonna hold. Listen, the one thing I reserve the right to is my opinion, my voice. I try to be sensitive uh, to what I say. I try to be sensitive to how I say what I say. But I will say what I feel like I got to say. So, and if you don't like it, I'll just ask you to pray for them. But I do try to say things in a way not to be offensive. But sometimes you can't offend nobody. No matter how you do it, what you say, how you say it. If folks don't like it, they just don't like it. And I'm old enough and mature enough to know everybody don't like me. If you talk too much, they talk about you talking too much. If you don't talk enough, they say you're sneaky. I don't trust them. So you can't please everybody. So the best thing you can, again, I'm gonna say it. I've said it again. Thing in 2023 to be the best you that you can be. And I'm not gonna lose no sleep. I'm not gonna be depressed. I'm not gonna go through no anxiety, worrying about what somebody thinks about me. Because the scripture says, if a man's ways pleases God, he'll make even his enemies to be at peace with him. So focus on pleasing God, okay? Don't try to please everybody else. Please God and please yourself. Be content with yourself. Some people can't be happy with themselves because they're so busy trying to remold and shape the image and to please someone else. Listen, as a preacher, I'm not trying to preach to entertain. I'm trying to preach to educate and to inspire and to motivate people, not to entertain. So I've got to be the best me I can be. I'm not gonna try to be a preacher like somebody else, this preacher out there. I'm just gonna be preaching and be sensitive to the Spirit of God, because there are times when I've got to say things and it didn't make any sense, but God told me to do it and to do it this way right here. And when that happens, so be sensitive. Be prayerful, because God may place somebody in your path this week that may be contemplating suicide. So be sensitive, be alert, watch your words, watch how you talk to people. Make a difference in somebody's life. I'm going. My goal is every week I'm gonna try to make a difference in somebody's life. Somebody's every week, if I can, every day. Try to make a positive difference. See, sometimes we're so focused on ourselves that we so busy being focused on ourselves that we don't take time to focus on somebody else. But honey, if you hurting, guess what? Somebody's hurting worse than you. If you're going through, somebody's going through worse than you. Just thank God you're not worse off than you are, and believe things will get better. Remember, that's a bright day ahead. No matter what you're going through, it's a bright day ahead. So I just want to encourage somebody just to keep a positive attitude. Quit judging, quit criticizing, quit browbeating folks, pray for folks. See, sometimes people are so busy talking about other people because they're trying to cover up their own self. They don't want you to know that they're dealing with anything. They want to act like they're perfect. So no, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not. I'm perfect by the grace of God. I may not be what you consider to be perfect, but I'm perfect according to the Word of God, to the best of my knowledge. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I was hoping that Sister Walton was with me. She was with me on last week. Y'all pray me I can get her on next time. If you have some ideas or suggestions for It's My Turn Now, please inbox me. Let me know what your thoughts are. I appreciate all the comments tonight. I appreciate everyone that came on. Those who are viewing, please share this right here, because this is a very sensitive subject. You just never know. Something that was said may encourage someone to be encouraged. The song said, "Lift up your heads, all you gates." I want to encourage somebody, just lift your head up today and be encouraged no matter what you're going through. Believe tomorrow's going to be better. Be prayerful, be careful, stay focused, and believe things are going to get better. So continue, share this with someone. Tell your friends about it. Be intentional. I'm going to encourage you. Take at least one day out of the week to try to make a difference in somebody's life. And when it comes to older people, sometimes older people lost their children, their friends. If you know someone older, give them a call, take them out to lunch. Text them, tell them think about you. Because sometimes when people get older, it's like nobody cares about them. And sometimes people just don't, and some people don't think about older people, and they want to kick older people to the side. But I'm not going to kick anybody older to the side, because guess what? You live long enough, you're going to be old too. We all going to get older. Amen. I'm getting another strike of the clock in about 4 more months, and I'm telling you, I never thought that I would see myself this old. But I thank God. He's allowed me to have my health and my strength, and I'm so thankful for it. Listen, we love you. God bless you. Be encouraged. Don't forget to share this right. If you have some thoughts that you want to see or discussion you want to hear talked about, we have a lot of interesting discussions that we're going to have in the next few weeks and next few months. But if you have something, feel free to inbox me, text me, call me. Let me know, because it's your turn now. God bless you. We love you. Be encouraged. Have the best week of your life.